thanks very much for having me. Actually, this is a cool event, and I just, Grockett and I go way back. They were a very early adopter of Lean Startup. So back then, we would have asked who's heard of it, and nobody would have raised their hand. So, but only a big part. So it's really very cool to see how much they have grown, what they've accomplished. So I spent 10 years as an entrepreneur, having most of my companies fail. So let's just start off with the honest truth here, which is that if you're going to talk to somebody about entrepreneurship who's a supposed expert, you're not supposed to start out as an expert being like, hi everybody, I'm a failure, and you can be a failure too, just like me. But if anyone's telling you the truth about entrepreneurship, there's a ton of failure along the way, and so that's been true for me too. And recently, not that recently anymore, started to write about my experiences as an entrepreneur in a blog called Startup Lessons Learned, coined this phrase, the Lean Startup, and that proceeded to take over my life, such that now I get to do cool things like this pretty much all the time. And the last, it's almost 18 months now, I've been working on a book, which hopefully many of you have little excerpts of, called The Lean Startup, which is where I'm really trying to put together my thoughts on what is this new thing that we are all here doing. And so for those who are new to the concept, Lean Startup takes its inspiration from something called lean manufacturing, which is a really different way of building physical objects. And what we learned through lean manufacturing was to learn some of the difference between what creates value in a company and what's actually waste. A really important question that really hadn't been asked in management's first century. And yet now, we're all entrepreneurs, so we're all living proof of the fact that today, we have more stuff than we know what to do with. And so the big question of our time is not can it be built, but should it be built? And what's happening is we can build anything that we can imagine. So if you think about that, it's kind of a crazy place to be in from a historical point of view. We can build anything that we can imagine. So our problems in education, for example, are not because we don't have enough stuff. It's that we don't know how to solve the problem. I know each of you know the answer to how to solve that problem in education, but all the other people don't know yet, and so collectively we have a lot of ignorance. And so my belief fundamentally is that entrepreneurship is a career for people who want to change the world. And so I'm just really honored to be here with all of you. My belief is that if we change our mentality, our mindset about what entrepreneurs do, we can actually make it so that most of the work that you do is actually value and not waste. Whereas today, most startups are failing and failing for that reason. So, Lean Startup in a nutshell.
Awesome. So I have some words on some Post-its. I'm just going to hand the Post-it over to Eric. He's just going to talk about what the word on that note is. He'll get it really quickly. Take notes on this. We're going to go a little bit through the Lean Startup cycle and what each part of the cycle kind of means. So, there you go.
This is fun. I did not know we were going to be doing that. Ideas is the first word. Okay. I know that your idea is the best idea ever. But statistically speaking, ideas are worth absolutely nothing. Okay. And I understand that's not true of your idea, but the other people's ideas are not. The reason is that we all have this image in our minds, and if you're just in the right place at the right time, then you're pretty much guaranteed to be successful. That myth is being sold to us by Hollywood movies and magazine articles, and it's absolutely, positively not true. So, Facebook was not the first, college social network, but it's the one that won. But why? What about all those other people who are in the right place at the right time with the right idea, like me, who made no money at all? And if you go back in time, Henry Ford was not the first automaker. In fact, there were 500 people who started companies before Henry Ford started the Ford Motor Company. 499 of whom managed to make no money at all, even though they were in on the ground floor of the biggest entrepreneurial opportunity of all time. So why? What you're going to learn in the next 54 hours is that what you do with an idea is what matters. And so the question for you to be really thinking about is, how do I learn which parts of my idea are brilliant and which ones are crazy? I know it seems all brilliant right now, but it's only part brilliant, part crazy. And within every bad idea, there's actually a good idea waiting to be born. So that's our goal the next 4 hours.
Nice. Correct.
Stressful. Build. Okay, I know how it works in the movies, which is that you have a great idea, you're in the right place at the right time, you build your amazing product, customers flock to it, and then you're on the covers of magazines, right? So who's seen the greatest entrepreneurial movie of all time? I'm not talking about the social network, I'm talking about Ghostbusters. Oh man, who's seen Ghostbusters? Okay, people forget Ghostbusters. Yeah, okay, there's a ghost in the State Park Marshmallow Man. But it's a these guys, they have this amazing idea for this cool new technology, but no one takes them seriously. They get kicked out of the university. And then most of the movie, if you recall, deals with the mechanics of like them setting up this business and taking out triple mortgages to buy this cool building, and they got the cool car, the whole thing. I don't know if you remember what happens when they finally get their first customer. They're literally on the brink of running out of money because they have no customers. They got cool technology, they've taken out the TV ads, done everything, 0 customers. And luckily, just happens to be on the very same day that they are about to run out of money, Zool takes over Manhattan. So most entrepreneurs are actually currently right now waiting for Zool. Don't let that be you.
Like that's a sequel to the Lean Startup?
Yeah, waiting for Zool. If Zool comes a year later, or a year earlier, Manhattan is doomed. But luckily, it came right at the right moment, which is how it always happens in the movies. The same thing is true with social, not all these in the movies. What matters is not what do you build, but does anybody want what you're building? So, what we want to do is figure out not how much building can you get done this weekend. Okay, lots of awesome cowboy coders who produce tons of code and awesome products in 154 hours. And look, we're blessed to live in a time when we can translate ideas into products faster than ever before. But because that's so easy, it's not actually anything to be proud of. So if all you do this weekend is build a product, then shame on you for squandering the opportunity that is really in front of you. Which is to ask, not how can I build the most stuff possible, we are drowning in stuff. How can I figure out the least amount of stuff to build, which will allow me to figure out, am I on the path to a sustainable business, or am I waiting for Zool? I don't know.
That's awesome. How does building relate to this next word?
Code. Okay, listen, I grew up as a programmer. Okay, I'm somebody who, as far as I can remember, has always been programming computers. And so when I found out that you could get paid for code, I was stunned. That's a career that people can have. I had nothing to prepare me for that. So I get, especially for the developers in the room, but I noticed this obsession in pretty much all entrepreneurs, how much you long to have your product realized as code. Because any of us who have been trained in any kind of functional discipline, including agile software development, know that that value is code, right? A line of working code is literally the unit of progress of the methodologies that we can use. And what I want to tell you is something that is just not going to go over that well, I understand. Just like ideas are not valuable, also code is not valuable. In entrepreneurship, there's only one thing that's valuable, and that is learning how to build a sustainable business. And I know that sounded good when I said it originally. You're like, yeah, sure, who's up for learning, right? It's an education theme thing, for God's sake. But there are some weird corollaries to that. If you really believe that learning is what's valuable, that means code is not what's necessarily valuable. But also it means having customers is not necessarily valuable. Making money is not necessarily valuable. See, I knew it seemed like a good idea at first, and that's like, wait, what? What did I just sign up for? That's what I want to try to convince you, through all the work that I do. It's that learning how to get customers is valuable. Learning if our product actually makes customers' lives better, that's what's valuable. So, unfortunately, I wish not so.
So the first 3 pieces, I think, people have their heads wrapped around ideas. Everyone here probably has one. They understand the hard work it takes to build things. They understand that often you'll have to write software code. This is where it starts getting, I think, really interesting and potentially newer in terms of what are the steps that kind of happen after here.
Measure. Yeah, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like what makes people successful is that they had their idea, they built their product at the right place at the right time, right? So that's like Act 1 of the movie. So if you think about Ghostbusters, Act 1 is, who are these cool protagonists? How do they get started? How do they come to be in the right place at the right time? What are their quirky character defects that will come to be important in Act 3, etc. And if you've watched The Social Network, you see the same structure, right? Act 1, who is this guy? How did he get this great idea? Quirky character defects, etc. I think it's not necessarily in that order in that case. And then Act 2 is actually really short in all these movies. I call it the photo montage.
Yeah.
And it's like, basically you got some guys pounding keyboards. There's no dialogue in the photo montage. Maybe they drink some beers, and the social number they write on the windows with those cool whiteboard markers. Like very cool effects. Anyway, it's over relatively quickly, and by the end of the photo montage, you're literally on the cover of a magazine. If you watch Ghostbusters, you're literally on the cover of a magazine in the photo montage. And then, of course, the really interesting part of the movie is Act 3, like how who sues who, and how you divide the spoils, and how do you defeat the shape of market. So Act 1, be in the right place at the right time. Act 2, photo montage. Act 3, divide up the spoils. And I know a lot of you spend a lot of time focusing your energies on Act 1 and Act 3. I know you all know how you're going to divide up the spoils after you win the Nobel Prize for whatever you're doing right now. I understand. That's fine. That time spent there is very interesting. There's a reason why movies focus so much on Acts 1 and 3, and that is that those are the interesting parts. The reason the photo montage is so short and so has no dialogue is because it's so unbelievably boring. Okay? But anyone who knows anything about entrepreneurship will tell you that all of the decisions that get made that impact materially the outcome of startups get made during the photo montage. Okay? That's 95% of the work, and only 5% is the fun, cool stuff. So I understand that right now entrepreneurship is cool, but that anyone who's actually done entrepreneurship, those of you who have actually done it, understand that entrepreneurship is not cool. Okay, it is not fun. It's not like all fun and game. It is excruciatingly difficult. And the reason it's hard is because of the post-it that I just got handed, which is that it's pretty easy to build stuff. But when we're trying to figure out, what do we actually need to build, that's when it gets really, really boring. Like, okay, well, which features, anyone ever sat in a product prioritization meeting? Hands up. Keep your hands up if it was fun. Yeah, exactly. Okay, look, it happens every once in a while, but this is not a fun experience. This is a difficult experience of trying to figure out not how can I measure every possible thing that might happen, but what are the critical few things I need to know in order to figure out if the work that we're doing is actually valuable. So, you might feel like, oh, measurement. Okay, well, I'm doing a website, so I'll slap some Google Analytics or, whatever competing product you want on it. And then I'll have measured stuff. But that's actually not going to help you. Because no matter how badly you're screwing up, you can always find a Google Analytics graph that is up and to the right. Okay, that's easy. You always find measurements that say you're on the right track. The key to adopting a scientific point of view about entrepreneurship is to be able to make predictions about what's supposed to happen and then measure to see if that thing is actually happening. So if you think
that,
yeah, the key to a scientific approach to startups is to make predictions about what is supposed to happen and then measure to see if that is actually happening. So if your idea is so good that every person who hears it will be instantly transformed into an ally of your company, that's actually a really easy hypothesis to test. Just go say your idea to one other person. And maybe they'll say, oh my God, yeah, I'm transformed. And then you can, great, then you can add one more person. But let's say you ask 5 people in a row and they all are like, I don't get it, not interested. Is that a statistically significant sample? Well, I don't know. Your hypothesis was that 100% of people would be instantly transformed by your amazing idea. So that hypothesis is now invalidated. And look, you didn't have to commission a survey. You didn't have to do hours of market research. You didn't have to go off and do some crazy complicated thing. And you didn't have to build a single product. You just had to talk to a single person. Now, not everything can be validated so easily. But again, we want to be working backwards from what do we need to measure in order to learn. That's really the question for the next 54 hours.
Awesome. We have a couple more, and then we'll take some questions. So start working on your questions here. Maybe you know what this is going.
Data, yeah, I figured out the gimmick. So now they're not as surprising as they used to be. But I'm worried there could be one curveball.
Yeah,
Lemmings. I don't know. What do I do now? Data. So okay, well, what specifically are we going to measure? I mean, the purpose of having products is to collect this data. One of the most common things people say when we try to get them to think more scientifically about entrepreneurship is customers don't know what they want. So if I just go out and talk to them, then that's not going to help me. I'm not going to be a great visionary like Steve Jobs. Who had that thought? Anyone willing to admit as soon as I started talking, I had that thought? Yeah, okay. A lot more of you did, but I appreciate the praise. I make this all the time. And here's the thing. It is 100% true that customers do not know what they want. So this is not about asking customers what to do. That's your job. And especially in education businesses where there's so many different stakeholders, you can't just go ask students, teachers, administrators, hey, what would you like me to do to solve the education crisis? You already have an idea. You came here with an idea. So the question is, how do we test, not what customers say that they might do, but how do we actually find out what customers will do? And that's the data we want to collect. So in your mind right now, you have this idea, this project that is going to change education, which I think is amazing. And I honor you for having the courage to really put it to the test. Probably there's some part of that idea, not for every one of these products. I bet a bunch of these products are online services of some kind. And I bet you for some of those products, there's an online service that has a free trial component. Okay? I'm just guessing that that's some of them here. Now, somewhere in your mind, you have this spreadsheet business model, plan in mind. And the business plan is like, okay, we put the product out there, and then a bunch of people sign up for the free trial, and then they sign up for the premium version, and then, or that kind of thing happens. Or maybe, actually it's going to be a viral product, and so you're going to show it to some students, and they're going to tell their friends, and all the students will be on the platform. Or maybe you're going to, introduce it at to a bunch of teachers, and then they're going to tell the other teachers, right? You have some idea of what's supposed to happen in your mind. So, just take the free trial example. If you actually put this product out there, and 0% of people sign up for the free trial, then it kind of doesn't matter what else happens in the funnel, right? It doesn't matter how many of them would have signed up for the premium. So the number of people who will sign up for your free trial is what we call a leap of faith assumption. That number has to be non-zero, or your business is zero. Now, you might think, well, in order to discover how many people will sign up for the free trial, I've got to build this product and ship it. But do you? When someone is evaluating whether they want to sign up for your free trial or not, what do they know about your product? Have they tried your product? No, they're signing up for the free trial. They only know about your product what you've told them. So that creates the opportunity to collect a really interesting and leap of faith critical piece of data before you build anything. Because if no one will sign up for your free trial, you really don't need to build anything else. You've got to work on that issue. And so when we talk about what to measure, what is the data we want to have, we want to work backwards from what are those leap of faith questions that we absolutely have to know the answer to, and is there any way we could get that data like right now, tonight, before we waste all of tomorrow building something that nobody wants. And I think in almost every case, if you're serious about this, you'll be able to find out that information very quickly. Learning. My favorite. And see, this should be a friendly crowd for learning. You understand, in regular management circles, those of you who work in a big company, you'll understand that a manager who claims to have learned something is about to get fired. So learning is not exactly the most welcome idea in corporate America. I know it's not. Right? A manager who learned something is by definition a manager who failed to do what they said they were going to do. And why did they fail? There's only two possible reasons. Either they didn't put together a very good plan, in which case that is the manager who should be fired. Or they had, even worse, they had a good plan but they failed to execute it. So that person should definitely be fired. And yet, I told you at the beginning, if you spend any time around entrepreneurs, you're going to see failure left and right. That's why learning is our most precious goal. So how do we demonstrate that we've learned something and that we're actually on track to making a sustainable business, right? So let's go back to my online free trial example. Let's say you run the experiment and you say, all right, I predict that 50% of people, students of this age who need this product badly will sign up. You run the experiment, and let's say that 10% actually do sign up. Notice that this is a really amazing experiment to write. To find out that it's 10%, you only need to show it to 10 people and know that one signed up. That's pretty good. And we're not talking about 1 million man-hours of work here. We're saying, oh, quick test. But then, okay, 10%, now what? Is 10% good enough? Was it supposed to be 50%? If so, we're in trouble. Now, you might say, well, it was supposed to be 50% and now it's 10%, so I failed, therefore I should give up. But that's not the way entrepreneurs think. What we think is, all right, if it's supposed to be 10%, then at least we know where we are right now. So we see the letters MVP, minimum viable product. The goal of the MVP is just to discover what are the facts right now. Because it's better to have bad news than to just make stuff up, right? So most of the time we plan our progress based on stuff we just made up, but now we have the chance to have facts. The way you demonstrate learning and the way you can win competitions like this, incidentally, is to demonstrate that the work you do matters to somebody. And the easiest way to demonstrate that is simply to show that real numbers that correlate to real people change over time. Now you have to be careful. Some people get obsessed with what we call vanity measures, which are like, well, how many total customers do we have over the course of the weekend? And you're like, we talked to 100 customers, that's great. Like, is it great? Remember, you don't get a gold star for talking to customers, you only get a gold star for validated learning. And it's like, well, we got 10,000 people to sign up for our beta. Okay, what do you do? Like, is that a lot? I don't know. It doesn't mean anything to me. The question is, on a per customer basis, were you able to make a change in customers' behavior? Because a product is nothing more than a catalyst for changing people's behavior. That's why we build it. So if you can show that in your first MVP, the first landing page you made, 0% of people would sign up, but 10% signed up in the second MVP, and 25% signed up for the third, that implies something really interesting about what your team has accomplished. Not just you can tell a good story, not just you have some fancy vision, but actually your product, through the changes you made, actually makes a difference to somebody. And I think that is really the flavor of the validated learning you need in order to prove that you're on track to build a sustainable
Thank you. So we have a couple of questions from Dan, and then if you guys have some questions, and then Naval's gonna come up and